Police say that one of the bodies found last week in Hendricks County has been identified as a Montpelier man. NASA says there was a fire on board the space shuttle as it landed last week, and a Christmas program that allows you to adopt a soldier for Christmas Day.
We'll have those stories plus the latest weather and a big night in high school sports, all coming up next on the news tonight.
Meet the #1 Cosmo woman on the next Entertainment Tonight.
Gratitude is your main weapon for keeping a marriage going.
Discover how Helen Gurley Brown has gone from sex and a single girl to marriage with a Hollywood producer. Then a revealing look at Dynasty's sexy Heather Locklear.
It's not cheesecake kind of stuff.
Getting down to the bare minimum for a sizzling bathing suit layout. All this and more on the next Entertainment Tonight.
Entertainment Tonight, weeknights at 7:30 on 6, The Leader. Stay tuned for the #1 newscast in Indiana on WRTV, Indianapolis. Live from the news leader, Howard Caldwell, Clyde Lee, Ken Double Sports, and meteorologist Bob McClain.
Good evening to you. Investigators say one of the two bodies found in Hendricks County last week has been identified as a Montpelier man. The victim, who has been missing since March, was identified as Richard A. Wayne, Jr. of Montpelier. Police found a bus ticket on his body that showed he had traveled from the West Coast to Indianapolis in late March. He called his relatives in Montpelier upon arrival and was never heard from again. Task force investigators are now checking into Wayne's activities. They believe the deaths of both men fit the pattern of the slayings related to the gay community. Howard?
Indianapolis police will soon begin rounding up 25 persons indicted today by a Marion County special grand jury. The 25 will be charged with a wide range of sex-related crimes for their alleged involvement in the sex-for-hire investigation involving young runaways. Many of the 30 victims, some of whom were as young as 9 years old, were runaways who survived life on the street by engaging in homosexual prostitution. The 6-month undercover operation used many of the runaways as informants, although none was allowed to participate in any sexual activities. Prosecutor Steve Goldsmith told reporter Jack Reinhardt that the problem of runaways in this kind of activity has overwhelmed the system.
This is the most significant police investigation in the area of child molests, street runaways, boys and girls living off the street that I've seen. So that's a major step forward. But at the same time, until recently, there had been no attention about how to intervene in the life of a runaway with enough strength to break the pattern. And we have a long way to go in that area.
In addition to changes in child sex laws, the special grand jury has recommended that police form a task force to investigate similar child exploitation activities. A man missing at the Indiana Reformatory was found dead early this morning on the prison grounds. 20-year-old Clinton Page was found dead under a pile of lumber. Another inmate, 27-year-old Gary Glenn, led authorities to Page's body. Glenn allegedly says he accidentally killed Page during an initiation rite for a secret society. Indiana's director of adult institutions, Dean Duvall, told Greg Todd the ritual was an endurance test where a person is choked and then revived.
Some of it sounds pretty far-fetched. We've never heard of this kind of organization. We know that it does not exist in this institution. Of course, he says that it doesn't. It's supposedly all on the outside. This kind of ritual we're not familiar with at all.
State police investigators say there are holes in Glenn's story and they are looking for another motive in the killing. Glenn is still held at the reformatory with other charges pending. Tonight, the Madison County coroner said an autopsy showed Page died of internal bleeding, probably due to a beating to the stomach area.
A judge ruled today that a Crawfordsville teenager will stay behind bars until at least March 7th, and at that time the judge will decide whether Grant Carey will be tried as an adult in the shooting of Calvin Dowell December 2nd. Dowell was shot in the Crawfordsville High School cafeteria on that date. Dowell is in good condition at Culver Community Hospital. An Indianapolis woman is dead tonight after an accident on the city's north side. 66-year-old Edna Trauber was walking in the roadway at the Fox Hill Drive area near Grandview when she was hit by a pickup truck. Sheriff's deputies say the driver of the truck was not able to see Ms. Trauber in time to stop. He was traveling about 30 miles an hour. No charges are expected to be filed.
Fire and explosion accompanied the Space Shuttle Columbia as it returned to Earth Thursday, but no one realized it until Friday. The spaceship was returning from a highly successful 10-day mission with 6 astronauts and the European Space Lab on board. As it approached its landing at Edwards Air Force Base in California, a fire occurred inside a rear compartment. Shortly afterwards, in that same compartment, a small explosion took place. Spectators spotted smoke and a yellow flame, but NASA officials said this was normal venting from the auxiliary power units and presented no problem. On Friday, technicians removed the panel at the rear and for the first time saw that the area was blackened and scarred by fire. Officials say at no time were the astronauts in danger, but the problem must be resolved before the next flight scheduled in January. A coalition of anti-Marble Hill groups wants the Public Service Indiana company to file for bankruptcy. Valley Watch Incorporated claims the uncompleted nuclear plant has drained PSI financially, that bankruptcy would not cause service failures or blackouts. A state task force is currently studying ways to take care of the problem. But at a news conference held today at the State House, Valley Watch President John Blair said a utility should be just as vulnerable to bankruptcy as any other business.
State Board of Accounts audit says more than $68,000 was misused by a former Brownsburg librarian. Auditors say the former library director, Billy Kaufman, owes that money to the library. They say the misuse of funds happened between 1980 and this past October. Most of that money misused was from unauthorized overtime, amounting to $36,000. An unauthorized withdrawal was made from a Railroadman Savings and Loan branch office this afternoon. It came in the form of a robber who walked into the North High School Road branch demanding all the cash from the teller's windows. He carried a sawed-off shotgun, took the branch manager's car to make his getaway. It is Marion County's 37th bank robbery this year.
The building that houses the corporate headquarters of Stokely Van Camp has been sold to two local architectural and engineering firms. Since Stokely has been sold as a business to Quaker Oats, the main office on North Meridian is being vacated. The facility was on the market only 17 days before it was purchased by Mid-States Engineering and Everett I. Brown Company. The two companies are separate and do business nationwide. However, they have always shared some employees and equipment. In May, they will move to their new shared facility of 140,000 square feet. Indianapolis's public school superintendent says that at least one part of the National Educational Forum here sounded a sour note with him, and he's complained all the way to the Secretary of Education now. Superintendent James Adams told the school board tonight he took issue with the fact that no IPS group was among the school performers at the conference. He also said it was a mistake for anyone to say educational problems can be solved without any money.
It's not going to be done without people saying, yes, it's going to cost money, and what is the investment? What's the return on the investment? That's what this nation has to talk about.
The school board talked about money issues itself tonight, okaying large construction projects. Among those, a $10 million renovation and addition at Broad Ripple High School, $6 million to replace School 39, and $2.2 million to add on to and renovate School 67. School board members also heard the president of the Indianapolis Education Association call for more consistent evaluation policies for teachers. Superintendent Adams says he hopes to have a new system implemented very soon. Clyde?
As the news tonight continues, the president joins the campaign against drunk drivers.
And a new candidate in the Democratic primary for governor.
Judge Wapner presides over the strangest cases on record on the People's Court. It's plaintiff versus defendant on the People's Court. Weekdays at 5:30 on 6. The Leader.
Terre Haute Mayor Pete Shalos officially entered the race for governor today. He's the fourth Democrat to do so. Shalos told a State House news conference that Indiana is on a downhill skid after 16 years of uninterrupted Republican rule.
Last few years, we seem to have gotten to the rock bottom. We're 47th in education. We're at the bottom on mental health and mental health care. Our utility rates have reached the highest that we've ever had. Unemployment is at the highest, which takes Indiana down to the bottom of not only the Midwest states, but nationally. I think what we need is a change in the political leadership of this state to bring us up to the standards and the calibers where Indiana can work. The Indiana folks, the Hoosiers, can work together to get Indiana into the top 10.
Shalos says he can catch the acknowledged Democratic frontrunner, State Senator Wayne Townsend. Meanwhile, retail sales climbed 1.9% last month, with auto sales leading the way. The Commerce Department says retailers are having their merriest selling season in many years. The good news is attributed to income gains and confidence in the economy, which is bolstering consumer buying. Sales of durable goods rose a strong 4%, including 5.4% gain for autos. Sales by automotive dealers hit $20.4 billion, breaking the June record.
President Reagan accepted a report today from his Commission on Drug Driving in America. That presentation was made during a ceremony that also included a petition listing those in support of tougher drunk driving legislation. ABC's Ann Compton reports.
The scroll was 7 feet long, its signatures supporting a growing political movement in the country against drunk and drug-abusing drivers. A presidential commission turned in its report recommending that 21 become the drinking age limit nationwide, that drunk drivers lose their licenses and go to jail, and that plea bargaining be eliminated.
A drunk or a drugged person behind the wheel of an automobile isn't a driver. He or she is a machine for destruction. The American people have paid the bills, seen the damage, and felt the heartache, and I think they're saying enough.
The White House announced that while Mr. Reagan strongly supports the push to get the age limit up to 21 years in each state, he will refuse to back the recommendation that Washington cut off highway money to states which fail to comply. Mr. Reagan signed a proclamation making this Drunk Driving Awareness Week, and he was flanked by parents who are painfully aware. In 2 separate incidents, Elizabeth and Gerald Price of Griffin, Georgia, lost 2 of their children to accidents caused by repeat drunk drivers. Ann Compton, ABC News, the White House.
Kentucky has a new governor tonight. Martha Lane Collins, Kentucky's first female governor. Mrs. Collins entered politics 8 years ago. In 1979, she became the state's lieutenant governor. She succeeds another Democrat, John Y. Brown, the man who became a millionaire as the head of Kentucky Fried Chicken. Mrs. Collins is a former school teacher. First lady of the entertainment world is in the hospital tonight undergoing treatment for drug dependency. Elizabeth Taylor has entered a California hospital to rid herself of the need for a number of prescription drugs. She is being counseled by former First Lady Betty Ford, who also underwent similar problems. Ms. Taylor is expected to be hospitalized until after Christmas.
Others in less glamorous careers will also be away from home Christmas Day. Many soldiers at Fort Benjamin Harrison will be unable to go to their real homes, but as Tracy Horth reports, they will share the holiday with a family.
Some of these soldiers will not be going home for Christmas. In fact, over 100 will stay at Fort Benjamin Harrison. Most would like to spend time with family, any family. So the Invite a Soldier Home for Christmas program was developed.
What we have here basically are 18 and 19-year-old soldiers who are, a lot of them, away from home for the very first time. And being alone at the holidays is a very lonely time. And spending Christmas with a family, even though it's not theirs, adds sort of a real Christmas spirit and the idea of sharing at Christmas.
The families who have expressed an interest in adopting a soldier for the day are asked to pick the man or woman up at the Welcome Center and then return them to the fort. That is the only requirement.
So far, the response from the community has been overwhelming.
Indianapolis has always been a very, very good supporter of Fort Harrison and the soldiers at Fort Harrison. And in this case, it's been no exception. The Indianapolis community has opened up its doors wide.
If interested, call the fort at 542-4200 between the hours 7:30 a.m. and 4:30 in the afternoon.
What the Army done for me? Mama, Mama, that's me. What the Army done for me? What the Army done for me?
Over 100 families have already expressed the desire to provide a soldier a home for Christmas Day. Tracy Horth for the News, Channel 6.
Dick Van Patten stars in the heartwarming drama of a large American family. Watch 8 is Enough to brighten your afternoon. Each weekday at 4 on 6, The Leader.
Bob McLean weather bears the seal of approval of the American Meteorological Society.
Good evening, everyone. One of the things you don't have to worry about during the month of December is getting a suntan. We only get about 40% possible sunshine during the entire month, making it the dullest month, as far as sunshine is concerned, during the entire year. But you think it's dull normally. This month we've only averaged 15% possible sunshine, and every day, all 13 days, have recorded either a trace or a measurable amount of precipitation. Looks like that trend will continue for at least a few more days. Our satellite picture and the newest image is already showing that moisture streaming northward off of the Gulf of Mexico as an area of low pressure, both at the surface and aloft, is taking place in the south central portion of the United States. We've started the motion, and you can just see this whole thing starting to rotate here as the area of low pressure is taking shape now over the nation's midsection, drawing that moisture-laden tropical air northward into our area. Fortunately, we will be on the warm side, so that means that the precipitation will be in the form of rain until either very late tomorrow afternoon or tomorrow evening, when colder air will come in around the back side of the retreating storm and change it over to snow. Here you can see that moist stream coming north right along the axis of the Mississippi River, with that moisture pushing northeastward in the form of rain. So a little bit later on, the rain will start and continue in an intermittent basis tomorrow. Some snow is being reported in the upper Mississippi River Valley. They've had about 5 or 6 inches in eastern Minnesota and the western portion of Wisconsin. The national map right now will show that area of low pressure taking shape northeast of Monroe, Louisiana, with another weaker dying area of low pressure northeast of around Des Moines. This one will roar northeastward, spreading the vast canopy of clouds and precipitation that you see over much of the eastern portion of the United States. Lots of rain in New England. They have flooding of small streams and creeks in portions of Pennsylvania, New York, and northern New Jersey. By tomorrow afternoon, the low will be scooting northeastward through Indiana. It will be snowing west of all around Champaign on up to Minneapolis, with the colder air just knifing in around the southern side of the area of low pressure, so that will gradually change the rain over to snow in our area. Here you can see the heaviest area of snow is expected to be on a line from Kirksville, Missouri, to Rockford, Illinois, and Madison, Wisconsin, to Green Bay, and on up to Sault Ste. Marie as the storm moves along this track toward the eastern lakes region. Looks like we will only get a light covering probably tomorrow night or on Thursday as it gradually changes over to some light snow. But right now it's drizzling, 40 degrees, 9 straight hours that the temperature has been at 40 degrees, humidity 89%, and the barometer is falling. Today's high was 40, and that morning low was 35. My forecast now for the remainder of tonight, temperatures holding just about where they are, with occasional rain developing during the next few hours as temperatures hold upper 30s to low 40s. Tomorrow it'll be mild with occasional rain likely, and highs only from near 40 to the mid-40s, winds southeast gradually becoming cooler and southwesterly during the afternoon. And for Thursday, cloudy, colder, snow showers are likely, with highs only mid-20s to about 30. And this is just the kind of a weather pattern you can't turn your back on.
Okay, we'll be back right after this.
Next on Barney Miller, Chano captures a one-man vigilante.
Oh, you the fellas been running around town taking pot shots at the bad guys? Huh? What are you, some kind of Zorro or something?
People are murdered, robbed, raped.
Oh, look, your neighborhood ain't no different from anybody else's.
And then they book an ex-Marine.
Two Purple Hearts. I think I know where he got hit.
Barney Miller, weeknights at 11:30 on 6, The Leader.
Well, it may be December, but there's a lot of baseball talk going around
No fooling. It might be a couple of years before we get to see anything, but it's certainly interesting to say the least. Hello, everybody. If you're a betting man or a woman, I'd put money on Big League Baseball being a fixture in the Hoosier Dome before Big League Football. News today that a 9-man committee from the major leagues is studying expansion is big news for Mayor Bill Hudnut and Danny Danielson, who heads up this city's baseball committee. During a briefing today at the mayor's office, Danielson pointed out two interesting factors. One, the city leads a group of nearly 12 cities interested in baseball franchises. Plus, the major leagues are seeking 6 new teams, thus creating a balance of 2 16-team leagues. The timetable appears to be expansion by 86, with decisions possibly due by this time next year. The major question here, what to do about restructuring the Dome Stadium so it'll handle baseball. Nearly $7 million in renovations will be needed, but word is the Capital Improvements Board will get the job done if the big boys in the big league say yes to Indianapolis. For a baseball guy like me, this is getting very exciting. Now, they are celebrating in Lebanon tonight. The festivities surrounding the Lebanon Tigers and their coach Jim Rosenstiel. Tom Carnegie reports from up north.
Why is it when you want to do your absolute best, the nerves come out and grab you? The Lebanon Tigers wanted this one badly for Coach Jim Rosenstiel, his 500th win. Crawfordsville was hitting, Lebanon was missing. The home Tigers were down by 3 at the quarter. Coach Rosensteel gets tough in the huddle.
They just pass the damn thing whenever they want to out there. Now, can we put pressure on it, or I'll put 5 guys out there can?
And oh, how the team answered that challenge. Pressure, pressure, steal, steal. Quick baskets for the Tigers, one after another. Scratch, claw, destroy, swarm on defense. Todd Bird, Ed Schilling, Joe Klingler, Mark Starkey, and Scott Wood doing this one for their coach, Rosie. Would you believe his Tigers scored 22 straight points, 22 unanswered points against previously unbeaten Crawfordsville? In reality, the game was over at the half. The Tigers win it by 27, and the players who did it give Rosie the game ball. Other trophies, of course, but it's the ball from his players that will be his finest trophy. Tom Carnegie in Lebanon for Channel 6 Sports.
We've got other high school basketball. Howe over Franklin Central 70-33. No score in the Roncalli contest. Bethany Christian over Indianapolis Christian 54-41. Center Grove down Indian Creek 70-54. One of the stronger teams in the city this year is Arlington. The Golden Knights have won 5 of 6 to start the year. Brian Hammonds has more.
The Arlington Golden Knights lost 4 starters from last year's ball club to finish 16-8. But with the new batch of players, Ed Ward has this year's team at 5-1. Their only loss coming to Northwest on Saturday night.
We aren't that good yet. And no stretch of the imagination are we that good. I think we can be a good basketball team. And I think that was pointed out Saturday night when Northwest came over and we blew a 16-point lead and got beat. A real credit to Northwest kids because they just came at us and played extremely well. Hopefully we're going to be a good basketball team by city tourney time.
They could be a real good ball club. Their forward play has been strong. Perry Smith has averaged over 18 points per game, and Greg Williams just under 14. What the Golden Knights need is some consistent guard play. If they get that, the rest of the city will have a real challenge. From Arlington High School, this is Brian Hammonds for Channel 6 Sports.
In girls basketball, the city tournament continues. Action tonight at Roncalli High School, where Northwest down Manual. The final there 60-46. And Howe, an excellent team this year, handled Cathedral 72-46 to advance in the tournament. Semifinals there Thursday. Championship set for Saturday afternoon. College basketball, Notre Dame over Cornell. 55-48 was the final in that one. Kenny Barlow with 10 to lead the Irish. Number 6, Memphis State a winner. 8th-ranked Boston College over Rhode Island. 13th-ranked St. John's, no trouble with Manhattan. Tri-State over Indiana Central, 75-66. And it's official, Stan Parrish is off to Marshall University to be their football coach. He leads Purdue.
All right, Ken, thank you, and we'll be back in a moment. A Michigan man was once, twice, 3 times a husband too many. 38-year-old Ernest Dixon pleaded guilty today to 3 counts of polygamy and faces a maximum 4 years in prison and a $2,000 fine. Each woman apparently believed Dixon's stories about where he went during long absences or never asked questions. One of his wives said, "I thought he was working." Another refused to believe he was untrue to her and said, "I love him and I married him for better or for worse." Good night.